Four small cups rest quietly on the table. A bowl of cloudy makgeolli, a glass of clear Cheongju, a clear shot of Soju, and an amber glass of plum wine. We so often forget that these four are quietly part of one family. Korean liquor flows in four gentle branches: Takju, Cheongju, Soju, and Gwasilju. Inside this small map, 1,000 years of every story Korean drinking has to tell rests softly. The first three are a single river that drifted out of grain and nuruk, while the last one is a fruit wine that ripened on its own quietly beside the river. Today, let us follow these four currents, from where they began to where they meet again. Would you really believe me if I told you that this one little block created every Korean liquor? It is just a palm-sized lump of nuruk. Yet 1,000 years of Korean drinking lives gently inside its rough surface. Korean nuruk is not simply a block of mold. It is a small republic of microbes where wild fungi, yeasts, and lactic bacteria all grow side by side inside one block. If Japanese koji is a quiet garden of a single fungus, then nuruk is a wild and wandering forest. That is why the same nuruk gives a different liquor every time, depending on the brewer's hand and the air of the day. From this single block, cloudy Takju wakes up first, and a clear layer slowly rises above it in time. Skim that layer gently, and it becomes Cheongju. Distill that Cheongju over fire, and Soju is born. A single block of nuruk and the family tree of three Korean liquors. The oldest Korean liquor was this gentle, cloudy one, Takju. The Samguk Sagi and Samguk Yusa already record names like Myeon, Jeju, and Yorie, which tells us people were quietly fermenting grain with nuruk 1500 years ago. The Goryeo Dogyang notes that commoners drank a deeply colored liquor with affection. A jar of bubbling cloudy liquid was the very first phase of Korean drinking. Once the Joseon era arrived, Takju walked deep into the fields under a tender new name, Nongju, the farmer's wine. A bowl of makgeolli with the afternoon snack was a kind companion to the long day of labor. The Joseon court issued frequent prohibitions on alcohol, but always made a gentle exception for the farmer's wine. Meanwhile, shops that sold only nuruk lined the Jongno Market Street, showing how close drinking lived to everyday life. As Takju quietly ripens, a clear golden layer slowly rises to the top of the jar in time. A small basket woven softly from twigs called yongsu is sunk into the jar, and the clear liquor pooled inside is drawn up with a gourd ladle, and that is Cheongju. It became the ritual liquor of the Joseon court and the refined cup of the noble household. In the same jar, cloudiness and clarity ripened side by side, the two faces of Korean drinking. What if I told you that the soju in that little green bottle came from far away? Korean soju begins in the late 13th century, around the reign of King Cheongju of Goryeo. That was the moment the peninsula first met the quiet art of distillation. The Mongols absorbed distillation from the Islamic world and brought it gently through the Yuan dynasty into Goryeo. So the technology took its deepest root in the towns where Mongol troops were stationed: Andong, Gwasilju, and Jeju. These three remain the quiet heartland of Korean distilled spirits to this day. Andong Soju still remembers that ancient fire clearly in a single 45-degree glass. The elders of Andong once tenderly called Soju Arangju. The Arabic word Ara passed through Persia and Mongolia and softly fossilized into an Andong dialect, a quiet fingerprint of an 800-year journey. The little green bottle of soju we drink today actually wears two faces. One is distilled soju, made by gently heating fermented grain in a still, and the other is diluted soju, where food-grade alcohol is mixed softly with water and sweeteners. In 1965, the Grain Management Act forbade making liquor from rice, and the diluted era quietly opened. That year, soju entered the market at 30%, then dropped to 25% in 1973, and held that standard for nearly 30 years. Through the early 2000s, it softened to 22, then 21, and today it rests gently between 16 and 17. In half a century, the strength of a single bottle has nearly halved. While soju softened over 50 years, the Cheongju beside it was quietly living a very different time. Among the three branches of grain liquor, we have not yet heard the real story of Cheongju. A single quiet event sleeps inside Korean Cheongju that no other Korean liquor has lived through. Have you ever looked closely at the label of Gyeongju, Gyodong, Beokju, the Cheongju said to carry 1,000 years of sila? In the very center, the words written are not Cheongju but Yakju. Inside those two letters, 100 years of quiet political history rests. In 1909, Japan tightened its grip on Korea and built a liquor tax law to gather revenue. The law gently handed the name Cheongju to Japanese sake and pushed the clear liquor of Joseon down to Yakju. The 1916 liquor tax decree went further and effectively forbade homebrewing, which severed nearly every line of traditional Korean Cheongju brewing. After liberation, the new tax law inherited the colonial classification almost untouched, and so the 1,000-year Silla Cheongju still carries the name Yakju to this day. The name was taken, but the liquor quietly survived. Inside those two letters on a single label rests the entire weight of Korean Cheongju. The fourth branch is Gwasilju, the fruit wine that ripened beside the grain river, not within it. Some say the very first liquor humanity ever drank was a fallen fruit fermenting on its own, which would gently make it the oldest of them all. It is said to have entered the peninsula from Tang, China during the Silla era, and in Joseon it took the form of a yakju, where rice and nuruk were brewed softly with plums, black raspberries, or wild grapes. Colonial crackdown on home brewing nearly erased it, and only since the 1990s has it slowly returned. Line these 4 cups up again, and 1,000 years of Korean drinking rests inside a single quiet frame. Next time you take a sip, take a small moment to feel which of the 4 currents is in your glass.